This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Happy New Year. Welcome to IA Forward and 2023.
That just sounds ridiculous. I'm just going to say it. We are living in the Jetsons movie or some futuristic land. Every time we say welcome to or hey, it's 20-something.
It's like it's beyond Back to the Future Part 3. That's what's really scary.
Yes. Obviously, us that grew up in the greatest decade of the history of time, the 80s, would be just almost mortified that we're actually still living in past the date of Back to the Future Part 3.
And we have some semblance of hoverboards, right, that don't work over water.
This is true. I don't know if you've seen the little unicycle thing,
yes,
the little uniboard.
Yes.
It's incredible. That's really close to hoverboard stuff. So
we see them as people are going across the bridges here. I see them there. Okay, so I have got a doozy of a story for you. One of our very dearest friends, we call her Aunt Mitzi, very extremely well-educated human being, 2 master's degrees, fantastic educator, created the gifted program in the state of Mississippi as we know it. Extremely, extremely intelligent person. She was in Mississippi this weekend visiting family and had her vehicle parked in her aunt's driveway when somehow an 18-wheeler hit a Ford F-350 dually that belonged to a farm equipment mechanic who had every type of farm equipment part and tool that could possibly be in the bed of a Ford F-350. So when the 18-wheeler hit the F-350, the F-350 went flying and all of the tools and parts went out of the bed of the truck, through her vehicle, and demolished it.
I'm with you so far.
This is backwoods, Kosciuszko, Mississippi.
This is going into a case study. This is good stuff.
So
right.
She calls me last night to tell me this has happened, and she's all stressed out because the and I can't even say it. I can't even say this. She calls me last night freaking out because instead of waiting and filing the claim on the people's insurance that caused this, they have some insurance company that she knows is crappy because she has never heard of it, called Safeco. And she knows that her Liberty Mutual insurance is going to take care of it because she's never heard of Safeco, and she knows that that's crappy insurance and this is going to end up costing her a fortune. And I'm like, Mitzi, I have Safeco insurance. Did you know that Liberty Mutual owns Safeco? Like, they really have Liberty Mutual insurance too. And the fact that Liberty Mutual allowed her to even start this claim, let's discuss this, and then let's talk about how do we overcome this perception of just because we've never heard of it, because they don't have this huge marketing budget that State Farm and Allstate and all such things, or Liberty Mutual for the sake of this particular conversation. I mean, I was speechless, and to get me speechless is really difficult.
So we're going to start with, obviously, she has Liberty Mutual, so she's direct or through a Liberty Mutual captive agent or personal lines agent. I'm going to make that assumption, right? Because Liberty Mutual on a personalized basis is not being distributed in the independent agency channel. As a consumer, she has a brand awareness problem for Safeco insurance. So this is a very, very sore, hot button topic in the independent agency channel. I'm really gonna feel like a conservative agreeing with a liberal a little bit. It's kind of one of those really, really crazy spots. I heard this argument from an executive one time as I was on an agency council, and the conversation was very similar to this of your direct channel is spending hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on annual advertising and all of this brand and all of this stuff, and then your independent channel, very similarly, which under a different brand, is not getting that brand recognition. And I don't think the marketing executive at this particular carrier meant to be arrogant. I think he come across arrogant, and his delivery of his explanation here was probably not good. It could have been delivered better. But his explanation was, well, would you prefer that we pay you the same commission rate and start the ad spend as we do our direct channel to the sales agents on that channel? Would you prefer that we take that commission that we're paying you, that rate that we're paying you, and instead of paying you that rate, would you prefer us to spend these dollars elsewhere? Because when we spend ad dollars over here to build brand, we're doing it because our direct channel agents do not have the same ad spend capability. They do not get paid the same rate. And over here, we are a portion of your book of business. And if we spend ad money there and pay you the increased rate, which can be 40% more in some cases and 50% more in other cases, then that doesn't work. The expense load is just, it doesn't work out. So this argument is an argument that's been out in the marketplace and in the channels, and especially a hot button topic for 30 years in the independent agency channel. And unfortunately, there's always, well, obviously, we do not want you to lower our commission rate. That's not what we want you to do as an independent agency channel. What we want you to do is we want you to spend the ad money and keep our rate the same. If you're the insurance company guy, I got to defend them a little bit. I think it is perfectly normal. I don't love it, but I definitely do not want them to take away our rate. But I also think it is somewhat normal that a consumer, completely ignorant to the insurance space whatsoever, has this idea that this crappy insurance company that happens to be an independent agency channel distribution company owned by a larger behemoth. And so I think what this is more than anything is just brand confusion. And I question the very, very high level of the organization to say, what are we doing here? We do not want to create brand confusion in the marketplace. That's the issue here. And so I think this is why it's really, really difficult for everybody to play in all spaces. That's going to be my argument is, okay, why are we playing in both channels at the end of the day?
I just found it really interesting that, first of all, her perception of the word Safeco meant that it was cheap and not good insurance. That was the first thing, was just from a brand, this extremely intelligent person made the assumption it was bad, called Liberty Mutual, and then Liberty Mutual was like, well, yeah, you can go ahead and file the claim on your own insurance. And I'm going, why? Like, why would you, as a customer service representative, even allow this to happen as an advisor?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. So number one, they call the claims hotline. They're not calling an advisor. That's number one. Bad faith claims are such a hot topic in litigation that carriers are at a spot where they have to basically say, yeah, we can file the claim. Like, they can't really go down this path of trying to sound like they're telling the customer, hey, you need to file it elsewhere. There's reasonings for that. They have to take the claim. They're not advisors in that scope, which is point for the good guys on the independent agency channel. They're going to be really hard to be advisors when you're in that realm. The other issue is that this perception of cheap insurance. Obviously, Safeco is one of the top independent agency brands in the country and a standard preferred carrier. That is just the reality. They're anything but.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I have. I mean, through my independent agent who happens to, work for you.
Yeah, one of our top carriers. I served on the agency council at Safeco for years at the national level. So we have this internal knowledge. I know this is where you're going with your outside the industry brain. We have this internal knowledge of things that are just automatic to us. Like, how in the world could any consumer, any insured, matter of fact, how could anybody on this planet not know that Safeco is a preferred carrier? And so I really think it does sort of uncover this failure around just industry perception. And I do think it's our independent agency channel challenge, and it's been a challenge, and it's going to continue to be a challenge, and I think it's solvable. I'm not sure that independent agents are going to be able to come together because of their independence. The things that make us so great make this a very hard thing to overcome.
I've worked in the insurance industry for 5 years now. And every 6 months, my dad comes to me and he's complaining about how his State Farm rates are going up. And we've actually run quotes for him and shown him you're getting better coverage with Safeco at a lower rate, better coverage. But no matter what we show him, it's still not as good as State Farm.
We have this generational brand loyalty that is incredible. Maybe it's more than generational.
Well, I mean, I wasn't leaving State Farm till I came to work for y'all and figured out, okay, I am being led by marketing and ensure that State Farm was my customer. And so therefore I tend to be brand loyal in that way too. But I sure didn't understand that what the independent agent up the street offered was equal and or better to what I was getting from my State Farm agent.
This is where we are with this, in the sense that independent agents, we are not willing to give up an ounce of my freedom to overcome this challenge. That's really what I think what it would cause. Let's just pick on the association for a minute. As the independent insurance agents and brokers of America, we have Trusted Choice. It's a brand. It's everything that we would say have available to us to kind of go all in, create this environment where, from a personal line standpoint specifically, we could collectively get on par. 40,000 independent agencies across the country. I don't know, we could do the math for whatever the figure is. We could do something there, and we could spend $100 million or we could spend $1 billion in brand building. The issue is, I don't think we want to. I think this is a known issue, and when we get there, not unlike your dad going, I understand I can save some money, but it's still not State Farm. In that same way, I think the independent agency channel, I think us as agents are at a place, have been at a place, and we're just like, yeah, we get frustrated about it, but it's not so important to us that we're willing to give up a little freedom to get there. That's what it feels like. That's what I kind of perceive that it is that we are so staunchly driven by our freedom that to give up the idea of having independent in our name and becoming Trusted Choice Agents Association, we can't get there. I think that's why the association on the national and state levels have abandoned, to some degree, even trying to go there. We won't let go of our name. We won't take the word independent out of our name because it's giving something up that we perceive to be freedom.
You know, for me, it's the name. You've heard me say it before. I don't ever trust somebody that says trust me. And the logo design of it is so 1980s, and the sound of it is so 1980s. There's nothing about it that is sexy, and sexy sells. We know this. And from a marketing perspective, there is nothing about the idea of Trusted Choice that gives me any kind of validation that I would trust this person. And I know that sounds cheesy, but when I look at the Trusted Choice logo and think about the brand, it almost seems more funereal than it does insurance.
I can't disagree. That's what I think happens when you have a DIY kind of approach to your brand. You had a bunch of agents 15 years ago, a bunch of committees, a bunch of this, and you end up with something. Plus, it costs money, and it costs a lot of money to create a national brand. I mean, a ton of money.
From a different perspective of this, and thinking about my parents' generation, they're pretty stuck in where they are. To an extent, even our generation, our Xers, we still tend to be pretty brand loyal to the brands that our parents brought us up on. We are. But I think with the TikTokification of what's going on with these generations after us, I think we have such an incredible opportunity to get beyond the concept of Trusted Choice, get beyond the concept of even that we are the brand which we are, but to take that idea of we are the brand and use TikTok, use Reels, use these opportunities to create these short educational videos that are fun still, that grab attention, that start with questions, because questions are what would grab. We know this. And educate from a perspective of, okay, what does it even mean? Because you use the term, this is a preferred carrier. Well, I'm telling you, the real world doesn't even know what that means. So I'm wondering if we just really do kind of give up on the trusted choice, the whole association thing, and we take this on ourselves and become experts to our target demographics by using the means where they're seeing it.
In a way, we have. It's evident in lack of growth in associations. Newer agencies aren't necessarily joining the associations at the same pace that they were 20 or 30 years ago. In a way, this has already been happening. There's a lot of agencies in the marketplace that are under 5 years old who aren't members of associations, of any kind of association, and they're doing it this way. The TikTokification of things, they're building their agency this way. And the problem that I see is that they're on islands. There's not the connectedness to a brand that is happening. And that's going to be the challenge. Either the associations need to hire us at IE Forward to create and solve this problem for them, or we're going to have to understand that as a channel, we're going to have this splintered sort of brand element out there in the marketplace. And I'm okay with that. I think that groups are doing a good job. I think there's some element of franchising that's doing a decent job. I think what's going to happen is, through exactly what you're saying, you're going to see some brands rise up. And they're going to be major agency organizations rise up through this.
I wish that our markets would somehow allow us to use co-op dollars in ways that would actually help us do this. I mean, it just seems like our co-op dollars have to be used for things that really aren't hitting who we're wanting as our new customers, because they seem to kind of be stuck in, okay, we've done co-op this way for 30, 40, 50 years, but they don't seem to be progressing toward this whole idea of TikTokification.
Well, and some have just eliminated their co-op dollars and poured that money into their commissions or their bonus structure, their profit sharing or contingency structure. I actually agree with you and then say, hey, do one of these two things. Either continue co-op and bring your co-op plan into the 2020s, or get out and pour it into contingency profit sharing dollars, because then we can do our own thing and we can do it unrestrained. That's the issue, is in what you're specifically talking about are the group of carriers that continue to hold on to the old co-op mechanism. It is very frustrating. Well, you have to do this, you have to do it this way, you can't do, and it's like, that doesn't fit our marketing. We're not even going to do it. It's almost gimmicky, and we lose co-op dollars every year because we just say, yeah, that doesn't fit our strategy. Whereas that particular or that group of carriers could win with our agency by getting out of that business altogether, pouring that money into our contingency or profit sharing dollars, or listening to agents who are actually trying to actively grow their personal lines business, because that's where most of this comes into play, and move to where they need to be. It really can't stay where it is and be productive.
From a marketing background, I am a co-op queen. That's one of the things that I really prided myself on working with small businesses, was helping them find co-op dollars and helping them use them to best promote their business, and finding those loopholes and figuring out those ways to best use those dollars to promote their business. And I remember the first time that you and I sat down in Huntington, and I actually asked about about co-op opportunities and you were like, no, we're not even going there, the way it's set up. And I've dug a little bit here and there. And yes, we have agents that are losing dollars, but they're dollars that really aren't helping them. So maybe you're right. Maybe the carriers do need to hire us to come in and help them. If you're a carrier, reach out to us at IA Forward. But, to help, that we can help them from an agent perspective to understand, okay, this is where we need the dollars, and this is where the dollars are going to get the most bang for the buck for the carrier and for the agent.
They've got the confusing brand element at the beginning of the show. Let's brag a little bit here on the Safeco Liberty piece. And one of the things they've done is they have moved away from this brand spend co-op to this educational type co-op scholarship piece. We're using them for things like producer development, marketer development. They have moved from, hey, here's some money, run some ads, to here's some money, put your people through these courses, and these courses are going to be carrier neutral. It's not like we're going to send someone to the marketer development program and they're going to have to drink the Liberty or Safeco Kool-Aid. No, it's not that at all. We're going to teach them as an independent agency marketer how to market in the community, how to market on social media, how to do all these things. And so they figured out they weren't going to be in this traditional co-op branding environment. So they just moved where they were going to, same money, right? They're still allowing the money and they're still giving us that opportunity, but they're doing it in a totally different way. Kudos to them. And that's what I'm talking about. Either get in or get out. But when you get out, transition to a different place. Don't just take it away. That wouldn't feel good to the independent agent channel, but redeploy it in a more intelligent use.
And if you haven't taken one of those courses, I want to encourage you to do it. They are absolutely fantastic. I have seen over and over how they have made a difference in the success of producers and the success of even from a CSR becoming a producer. They're absolutely fantastic. So if you have access to those, I really want to encourage you to invest in yourself and make that happen. Also, I do want to shout out to Liberty Mutual. I'm not a big fan of the Emu and Doug, but I will tell you, I love their commercial that they're doing with Christmas, where the little kid gets mad that he didn't get Liberty Mutual. He got a bike instead and he kicks his bike. I love that ad. And my husband does too. He's like, oh my gosh, this is the best ad. And then of course, young people having fun with insurance is fantastic as well. I'm not about cheesy commercials, but I really do think that they're doing a great job with what they're doing from a brand perspective.
I'm going to completely cancel that out and say, I love Doug and Limu Emu, and I am not a fan of the new stuff. I'm not a fan of trying to make insurance not insurance. It's just me. I'm kind of an insurance nerd and you're not. And I think it's interesting that the challenge that marketers and brand experts have in society today, you're not going to be everything to everyone. And here we are right here. There's two of us and I'm completely split on that. I want to see more emu ads because I think they're ugly and dumb and cute at the same time.
So let's go back to the beginning of the show and Aunt Mitzi. What do I need to tell Aunt Mitzi in addition to the fact that she needs to get an independent insurance agent?
Well, I think it's why does she need to get an independent insurance agent? And she is a walking example of why. Aunt Mitzi, you just bought insurance. You are a customer. You just did a transaction. You bought insurance. What you didn't do is become a client, and you didn't necessarily get an advisor. And if you would move over into the independent agency channel, you would have an advisor, you would have advocate, you would have someone that you would automatically think right off the top of your head when you had this situation come up, when this disaster happened and tools went all through your vehicle. The first thing you would do is you would pick up the phone, and let's just call him Josh, and you would say, Josh, tools from this truck just went all through my car. I don't know what to do. What do I need to do? And guess what? Josh is going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and it's going to be the best advice because Josh is a professional. He's not just a seller. He's a risk manager. He's a risk advisor, and he's going to say, hey, Aunt Mitzi, all right, first steps. That's their fault. We're going to file this claim. We're going to help you file this claim on this other guy's coverage. Yours will be there. If we run into a struggle, we can always come back there, but this is where we need to go with this claim. And Aunt Mitzi's stress level would have gone down to near zero, and she would have been so happy, and she would have sang Kumbaya and had a lovely rest of her day.
So I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Jeff Bezos. A brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. You earn reputation by trying to do hard things well.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Happy New Year.
Ready to get the ball rolling with your independent agency? Learn more at IntegraAgent.com. That's IntegraAgent.com. Thank you for joining us on IA Forward. Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now, or learn more at IAForward.com.